Okay, honey, would you like to say something to the good people watching us?
Hey, so I'm a middle school teacher.
Wow, you're killing it.
I don't know how to start, or you're starting.
No, I'm starting, yeah.
You're the host, so.
I'm the host, so I wanted to speak today about AI and how it affects education. After I had the video with Vitor, I started wondering how it is for children, how it works further back and further back. Because one of the things is you hear about, oh, my developer is using ChatGPT, they're useless. My whatever is using ChatGPT, they're useless. So what if we went back to middle school? So instead of doing the video on my own, I brought my stepwife here, and yeah, she's an English teacher for a middle school for you Americans, or 6th to 8th grade here, 9th grade here.
6 to 9, yeah.
Yeah.
But very happy to be here, but he invited me to his podcast.
It's a chat.
But it was a podcast.
Yeah.
It's not?
It's a chat.
Oh, damn. And I recently started teaching, actually, I'm going to be finishing my first year of teaching.
So, for context, she works at a school around Brno. So, while it's not a rural area necessarily, it's not like the fancy...
It's a small town. It's a very small town.
Lots of manual laborers, I guess?
Yes, then lots of the children are actually from very small villages around, so it's very different than a school in a city would be.
A lot of the children didn't have proper English education before?
I wouldn't say that. That's a bit too much.
Okay, so I would say they had the standard Czech education for English, which is not great.
Well, why do you keep saying that? I don't understand.
All right, so to start with, ChatGPT and the whole AI craze started when you were in your master's, right?
Yes, I was still in uni, yeah.
Yeah.
And
did you use it?
I did, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was great. It helped with many things, and I'm very grateful for it.
So how did you use it? That's,
Well, to reorganize text, to help me with just the sentences so they look a bit more neat. Yeah, in general. And then a lot for just discussing ideas, bouncing off of ideas of it I had for my thesis and for other school work. So it helped a lot with the regular things people use it for, to kind of discuss your ideas with it. Yeah.
So did you ever do the whole copy-paste, the whole exercise into it then?
Well, no.
Okay.
I don't think it was common that you would actually copy-paste the whole thing. I feel like once you're an adult and you're studying something you actually want to do, you just don't have the need to cheat necessarily. No? I
don't know. We'll have to ask Victor students, but...
Well, see, that's why they're not interested in. I don't know, or maybe... it can be many reasons.
It can be many reasons, but I think lack of interest or lack of benefit
lack of
might
time
be one.
would be that as well, so...
Yeah. So now as a teacher, do you still use AI in your day-to-day work?
Yes, I do. My day-to-day.
Yeah. Is it a specific tool or just ChatGPT?
It's just ChatGPT. Yeah. I don't really need much more. Maybe I'm just lazy to explore. I know there's so many tools for teachers now, and we get recommendations for shitloads of different websites for Czech content too, things which create a whole lesson plan for you, and there's many more things. I use it generally for when I have an idea for an activity to help me kind of think of content to put into the activity. So sentences, I don't have to think of 50 sentences on top of my head every week to I just say what kind of grammar, what kind of topic. And
but your school doesn't have a specific educational AI tool they use. Do you know if they purchased anything?
No, we don't. Generally Canva has an AI in it nowadays, so
fine, but
that's something we use at school, and it is the school license. So that's a thing teachers use for generating pictures.
And in terms of tools, would you say there's something specifically that you would like to have? Is there a need for something that would be really nice if it was automated?
No, I cannot really think of anything, and I don't even need it that much. The
I see.
AI I use is generally like to save some time, but yeah.
Yeah, so for example, would you use something to automatically grade students or examine
Well,
them?
definitely not.
Okay.
Then something I wouldn't. I don't even use it for like tests to create tests because I don't think it's very good. I've
Mhm.
tried and it's just not the quality I want, and it's much easier for me to just do it myself.
Hmm. Are your students using ChatGPT? Can you tell?
Yes, I can tell.
Okay.
They are using that, yeah.
How can you tell?
I can tell by like homework sometimes, or it's not necessarily homework. It's just like work. They ask me to finish. They ask me to finish at home, and then they bring back like a very nicely written piece of work. Or even like we work on it at school, and I do allow them to use like Google Translate or something for like words for just like short, just like words in general, like vocabulary if they don't know it. But what happens is that they just like put it all in ChatGPT and just copy it on the paper. So
Mm.
yeah, I can tell if it's like a sixth grader with the level of English saying like, "Hey, my name is and this is my house." I can tell that they're not going to write like a very nice piece of this is work about rhinos. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More of the time they would use it then to generate the
Mhm.
full thing rather than guide them towards.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So the incorrect way, which I have encountered, like at uni as well, that
Mhm.
people would use that, or like we hear about like instances like that, or like in your video with
Mhm.
Vitor, you talked about the same thing. So even adults do that. So I understand why the kids do it, and they do understand that it's wrong. Sometimes they try to argue that like why they cannot do it,
Okay.
where there's a very simple answer to that, why not, and then we have a discussion. But they do try to like talk me into, oh, well, we can use that, why not, if it's here.
And so these children are between like 12 and 15 generally.
Yeah, 12, 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's really interesting because I wouldn't necessarily expect a kid in that age to have unrestricted access to a phone with internet
Mhm.
plus a computer.
Yeah. Well, they do use their phones. Like, I let them use their phones during the lesson, usually. Like,
Mhm.
if they work on something that they need, like, inspiration, or they need to, like, Google things. The problem is, yeah, that they don't really Google anymore, so
Yeah.
it's one of the
No.
issues.
And I think that goes into another thing really. Even before AI tools came out, people were saying, "Oh yeah, googling is a skill. Finding information online is a skill that you
Mm.
need to learn because there's a lot of information out there, and you need to be able to determine what's factual, what you need, what you don't." But I think that's one of those things that gets completely lost.
No, I definitely agree with kids not being really good with computers in general. And it does surprise me, even though it makes sense because they just have a smartphone most of the times, or they had a tablet when they were a kid, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, but like generally they do struggle with anything to do with like text editors, like anything they need to do in like Word, like a specific format. They have no idea how to do it. They have no idea how to find the information, how to do it, because like I don't know any like everything, like how to do stuff, and
Yeah.
I don't know how to do all the editing, but I know how to find that information. And that's something which worries me because I would expect them to know the basics.
I grew up in pretty much the first generation that had the internet widely accessible in Greece. So my mom had no idea about computers, she had no idea about the internet, and I had to act as a parent and educate her in like 2011 how she can be safe online. So I've been in that case, being the kid that, oh, here's a computer, I have no idea what you do with it. In a similar sense, that's why I think some of the things might be dropping by the wayside, because if they have nobody to tell them, hey, you shouldn't be relying on all the information on AI and ChatGPT and whatever Google tells you.
Yeah. Well, and we do keep telling them that, or like there's a lot of emphasis on like critical thinking at school nowadays. So like it's one of the core like competencies we focus on in like middle school and elementary school. And it's kind of funny like how much time we spend with that at school. but then it just like goes unnoticed, or like the kids just don't care. And I understand that they're young and they're going to eventually probably realize, but yeah, it's just sometimes like it really drives me crazy that I keep saying the same things. And check your information, think about what you see online, like just don't copy it, and yeah, goes out of the window.
Why would a kid in school do this? Because you're essentially in elementary school.
There is definitely pressure from parents, from the school, on grades and like having good grades, and it's a big thing. Plus, I don't think it's mostly that they want good grades, but they just want to be done with stuff.
Okay, because I understand
Like-
that I want to be done.
Yeah, I think that's more than
Yeah.
like the grades, because you don't get that many grades out of like group projects, and it's, at least I think, still not the majority of the work we do.
I see.
So I think still the main reason for them to use that is like to be done with it and
Go watch AI videos on TikTok.
Yeah. And then the next question is like, oh, we're done. Can we just be on our phones?
Yeah,
Like,
okay.
Well, obviously no. Yeah, so I understand like being done with work is a big motivator for them, because it is for people. It makes sense. We do have technology to use it to save time, to have time for other things. Not sure if it's good that they have time for like the things they want to, like Brainrot and like
So, do you think it's one of those things that the educational system needs to adjust on, like pretty much everyone using things like ChatGPT, or is it more of a, it should be banned altogether?
Yeah, it shouldn't be banned, definitely.
Okay.
That's like a clear answer from me. And we do need to adapt, and I'm pretty sure most teachers do that, and we are adapting, and the lessons are different than they were like years ago. The schoolwork has to be different. You have to change the schoolwork, the task you give them, for something which actually makes sense for them, and they're not going to use ChatGPT the way you don't want them to, which is tricky, but that's why we're educators and we're professionals to do that. Yes, you have to think about it and try to kind of make it make sense for them.
I see. So what I'm getting out of this pretty much is that homework is even more of a waste of time.
Yeah, like, well, homework should is not that important, and homework is good for
What?
kids.
Really?
Yeah, that's true. It's not that important, and it is not mandatory, of course. Like, I cannot, force them to do homework. I do give homework though, and it's mostly as an extra practice. I do care if the kid doesn't bring a homework the whole year. Then I get kind of upset, because they still should do something. If they forget it a couple of times or they don't want to do it, I don't really care that much.
Yeah.
But it should be homework. They should understand that it's for them.
So do you have any hot tips about how to use something like ChatGPT as an educational tool rather than something to cheat with?
You mean for the kids to use it?
Yeah, for the kids, or if any parents are watching and are like, oh, what do I do with my shit kid?
I think it's definitely good for them to use it to just the way that like I use it at work, maybe that could work, to give them a task, to think of an activity, and then like give it very specific requirements, and then they need to use that, put it into ChatGPT, and make it do the thing they want that to do. Because I think that's the issue, that they just expect it to do everything they want, but
instead of having homework or doing in-class exercises that are generated by you completely, and then you have every child has the exact same one, and they can copy from each other, and then you have to worry about cheating. One of the other systems was that you just have a pool of questions, and each one of them gets like 30 assigned randomly electronically. But what if instead of that, each pupil has the same sort of exercises, but they get a completely different set because you're asking the AI to generate them on the fly? So it's not something they can necessarily copy from each other.
oh yeah, well, you can definitely do that.
Yeah, I think I'm just selling people an idea for a startup.
I mean,
I'm
yeah.
sure it exists out there. No, but that's what I mean. Like, modern day problems require modern day tools.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I still am much better at using ChatGPT or AI to like generate things for the kids as activities for the lesson. I'm still not at the point that I could just give them a task that they would use it and it would make kind of sense.
Yeah.
I have seen a kid use it in like a conversation class I have, and they were trying to figure out like a name of a tour agency with it. So it was alright for me. Like it was a creative task. So like
Yeah.
they kind of tried giving it different prompts, so it made sense. I didn't mind it.
But that's another thing you could be doing, not necessarily you, but I mean as a person. If you had a model that role played as, hey, you're a conversational model for a sixth grader, and it's a B2 level of English, and you have to be like a foreigner in their town, asking for directions to different places.
Yeah.
So something like that could work because then you have the role play element.
Yeah, that's fine. There's definitely things like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, people use it for conversations. It's just like, yeah, that would work as the homework thing because, for example, you don't have parents who speak English at home, so you have no one to speak to. That works. Or you have no like friends to speak to in English. But then again, in class, I don't use it because I have the classroom. Like I have the kids, and that's what we do. We're there. We speak to each other.
Yeah. I still fully think teachers are required, and it's not that AI is going to fully replace you and you have automated teaching. Mostly because it's the difference between being an educator and like an information source.
Well, yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, like ChatGPT is better than you in terms of
definitely.
speaking like factual English and knowing everything.
Yeah.
But ChatGPT is not better at you at educating a child.
Yeah.
Maybe better than some of your coworkers, but I'm joking.
Jesus.
If anyone's watching, it was just a joke. I'm not attacking you.
It was a stupid joke.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we had an English teacher at school who kept saying, "Oh, number A," and she had a very thick village Greek accent, and
accents are fine.
Accents are fine. It was just like the way she spoke English, and her age and everything. It wasn't very good, so I would definitely take ChatGPT over her.
Okay. Well,
because it was also high school. I don't think I needed anyone, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think some of the kids would take anything other than English, not even like, ChatGPT over a teacher. So that's the issue I'm facing more often.
And are Czech kids motivated to learn English?
I think they are. It's hard to see sometimes, and obviously you do encounter kids who are like, well, I'll never need that because they most of the times they have it from home that like at home the parents told them, well, you don't need to because we don't speak English either. There's no motivation, and they just say, well, I'll never travel anyway because they see it as something like not very very distant to them. They haven't traveled, and I completely understand it. So I get it that unless you have a reason and you see how to use the language, you're never going to speak it or learn it or want to learn it. So I understand them, and my task is to try to like motivate them, or maybe not like not to kill it completely. Like, oh yeah, they're just going to hate English for the rest of their life.
Because Czechia has, I think, one of the lowest English competency levels in Europe,
yeah,
right?
It's not very good. Yeah, could be better.
It's not the lowest, but it's low.
Yeah, I mean, it has to do with it has to do with history and everything. Just the geography as well, and
Yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, Czechs are actually very good at speaking German. It's just like English is not their main second language. It's Czech and German.
German is perfect.
Yeah, German's like...
Yeah, ask any of the kids at school, they love German. They can speak it fluently.
Yep. It used to be Russian, but now again, it's German again.
Yeah. That was a joke, huh?
No, it wasn't a joke. We're being very serious.
Like, I think there are definitely... We talked about many like positives, and it is going to be, a thing which is going to play a big role in education in our lives. So
and you said you had the story for me?
Well, so really, but I just see how the kids actually see it as something cool. So yeah, for like future me, I want to like use it more, let them use it more like carefully and critically and everything. What happened to me last week? I was just preparing some like practice exercises for before a big test, and I did it with ChatGPT because that was the easiest way. I was kind of like short on time, and it was the easiest way for me to just put all the topics we need to cover and just create some really like sloppy exercises quickly. That was it, and I gave that to them like to have an idea what kind of topics there will be in the test, so they can see, practice, ask questions. It wasn't very good exercises, obviously, because I don't expect ChatGPT to make good exercises for that. It's usually not good. And the kids noticed, they spotted it, that it's ChatGPT because of like it does the little like pictures now, like the emojis. I don't know if you noticed.
Yeah, I think it always did. Emma was talking about it too, that ChatGPT was just throwing rockets everything, and you can tell.
Yeah. So now it was like with the rockets, like the different things, and they were like, "Oh, this is ChatGPT, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, right." Like it was the easiest for me, and I explained how I made the exercises and why. And they were like, "Oh, that would be cool if you made a whole test like that." And I was just like explaining how I don't actually think the exercises are good. And I'm like, no, that's not true. They're very nice. I like them. And then like 5 minutes pass, and they're like, "Oh, this is actually like not good. You can put like several things in there." I'm like, "See, that's why I don't use it for testing." And they understood it, why you shouldn't be using it just like that, and that there were actually flaws in the test. But then like another compliment I got was like, "Oh, that's so cool that you use it." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I use it like often with you. You haven't noticed? Like I do generate like 50 different questions for like almost like each of the classes, so the kids have different questions to discuss and it's not all the same like questions." And I was just saying, "Well, do you think I always like think of all of these and just like think of the vocabulary you need to use, and how would I do that?" And they were like, "Oh wow, that's so cool that you use it. You're like my favorite teacher now." And I was like, "What?" Because I'm cheating or like why? And they just saw it as something, like cool.
Hearing this actually, maybe it's more of a case that it's more about education modernization. Because, for example, what if you had more tests with emojis? Because kids are used to seeing them.
Yeah, I mean, I do put pictures into tests, but
Not just pictures, but like emojis as well.
It's a good like inspiration of like what the kids like. Yeah,
because at the end of the day, what's the purpose of education? To transfer knowledge and prepare them, right?
Well, prepare them,
give them ideas,
give them the space to kind of.
Yeah, I think it was things. Like an AWS guy. Yeah, I'm killing it. But his whole point is like one of the most difficult things is to break down a very complex technical thing into its details. And I think if you manage to gamify it or make it more interesting, or even if you it means use emojis on a test, or you accept kids drawing emojis, that it's much better. Because in my day, for example, we can draw anything. It wasn't visual at all. You would be reprimanded if you used anything more casual.
Yeah. I think it's much more like subjective now. It really depends. It's the same as like at work. You don't know if your boss, not all bosses are going to be fine with you putting like memes into a presentation. Or am I just like guessing? Or
you're kind of guessing because I think with the corporate world, you either have tech corporate world.
Yeah.
I think everyone who's on the mortal level, so anyone who's not investor or C-level staff, whatever, us poor bastards. Emojis, memes, and everything in casual tone, it's completely fine. When you go to C-level stuff or, a managing director or something like that, they think they want memes to engage the plebeians, but the memes are like all boomer memes and terrible. So you wouldn't necessarily use it with the client or anything, but I think the meme-based thing is down in tech.
That's good then. Yeah. It's better than I thought. No?
It's good because it's still casual, but it's a very thin line between offending someone or, having a funny presentation.
Yeah.
So it's a bit tricky.
It's just like, I generally don't care if they draw something. It's not offensive or anything into a test. Unless it was a big test now, because then we have to kind of you know, like it's a big thing to write the big tests, and they're standardized and everything. All right.
All right. I guess that's pretty much all we have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's all
if
for
you're a
me.
teacher, a parent, an educator, or you have a startup that sells educational software, leave a comment. Let us know, how do you handle it. Do you let your children use it? Do you think AI is the future? Do you think it's terrible? Do you like boomer AI memes? Anyway, thanks for watching. Let us know what you thought, and yeah, stay tuned for the next one. Bye bye.